Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Let's have what promises to be a very interesting discussion today about the subject of healing and the only healer, the only therapist. And again, this is a course in miracles, so we'll explain more about what we mean by the only healer, the only therapist. We've moved on to chapter 9, section 5 of the text, which is entitled The Unhealed Healer, which is a very, very interesting and intriguing title for a section. So let's unpack this, and let's do so in the context of the modern 21st century spiritual marketplace. It's interesting that we just chose that word, isn't it? Marketplace, because that is what we're presented with. The beauty of this, a very helpful point, is that every single spiritual tradition in the world is available to us. With the simple click of a mouse, it's all available to us worldwide. And that's part of the beauty of our 21st century technology, isn't it? Is access to information. Along with that, one can feel rightly bewildered and overwhelmed by choice. Some choices shinier than others, some promising more than others, some threatening more than others. There's a lot out there. And along the lines of healing, there are a number of people in all different traditions and all different modalities who call themselves healers. So be it. There's a lot of that out there. So this video series is not about any modality other than A Course in Miracles. So I'm not able to speak to any of the other healing modalities. Perhaps you're familiar with many of them. What I want to focus on here is what this course says and what this course means, because it's pretty simple and it's pretty clear. The idea is this: the ego's plan for salvation, the ego's plan for forgiveness, as we've seen recently, the ego's plan for healing won't work. The reason for this is the ego, well, it doesn't exist in the first place. But here, while and where we think that it does, where we think that we're individuals, which we're not, when we think that, and all of the evidence of our physical senses, the body's senses, point to this, we've been conditioned to think that we're individuals. We've been conditioned to identify with our name, which is a made-up collection of sounds. A label. I mean, really, it is. We've been made to identify with all kinds of things: our gender, our ethnic or national origin, our job title, our social status, our income, our political persuasion, one label after another, and none of them true. In case you're just joining us for the first time, there is no world. You're not a body. Still watching? Excellent. There's a reason why I invite you to stay tuned until the end, because something will be said that you're meant to hear. That's why you're here. So, welcome. The ego's beliefs cannot be shared. So the ego's ideas about healing won't work. They won't work because they cannot be shared. We see many examples in the world of what we would call an unhealed healer. So, here in chapter 9, section 5, Jesus points out a couple of examples. And we'll briefly talk about why they don't work for true healing. First of all, true healing is of the mind. This is where all of the action in spirituality in general lies. It's not in healing the physical body, which is not you. It's looking beyond the form, the outward appearance, to the essence, to the content, as the Course refers to it, of who and what we all are. So we're learning here as we study this course to see things differently, to perceive everything the way it actually is, rather than the upside down way, the backwards way that we've made it. Healing is of the mind. The physical body may follow. So healing the mind is not necessarily a guarantee that you'll be cured of an ailment or a chronic ailment or a disease or anything like that. That is actually not the point. It's not the point of this course, which aims to help you wake up, awakening. Call it enlightenment, realization of God, whatever term you want to call it. In order to awaken, we must first learn to perceive truly. That's what this course is all about. Once we learn to perceive ourselves, our brother, the world itself, for what it really is, then truth dawns of itself. But we have to lay the groundwork, in a manner of speaking. Healing is of the mind. And what we do here all the time on Psychoplanet, I love that term. I mean, really, it's a spinning ball of rock where we're running amok, making a constant mess of things and appearing to dig ourselves deeper and deeper and deeper into a whirlwind of chaos, excess activity, frustration, fear, anxiety, name your term. We don't have to. You don't have to. What we do as we do the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. When we do that, we're making all of these illusions real. We're making this real. We're making everything that appears in the world real. We're making situations real. So when we make illusion real for ourselves, we're not going to be healed until we change our mind. Mind training. This course is about changing your mind and learning to see as the Holy Spirit sees, our inner teacher. More about it in a moment. There are many examples here in the world of how what is labeled healing, what is billed as healing, does not, in fact, heal. So Jesus right here gives a couple of examples. One is theology, the other is psychotherapy. So you may or may not have derived tremendous benefit from one of those healing modalities. If you have, great. Again, we're looking at what is said specifically in chapter 9, section 5 of the text of A Course in Miracles. In psychotherapy, what happens is that darkness is analyzed. So, what's the problem with that? In analyzing the darkness, we're making it real. We're not bringing it into the light, where it would simply be shined away, as though it were never there in the first place, and it is not. So when we make that real to ourselves, we're not able to bring about healing, because we take a circumstance or a relationship or a situation and make it real for ourselves, and then sometimes spin about in circles analyzing it. But all the while, it's concretized, it's made to be real. The other example that Jesus gives us here is that of theology, where one is, well, bound to spin on the wheel of suffering, thinking one is a miserable sinner, which an unhealed healer, a theologian, purports and propounds and states over and over again that each and every one of us is a miserable sinner, worthy of condemnation, punishment, death, and the wrath of God. God has no wrath. Perfect love does not get angry. If you've never consciously thought of that, I invite you to do that. Perfect love would never condemn. And let me tell you something. God has no ego to be offended. God is not jealous, is not jealous. There is no other of whom we could be jealous. There is no separation of any kind. So how can any of us really, truly be jealous, vindictive, judgmental? We can't. Awakening is awakening from a dream of exile, as the Course puts it, frustration, fear. So when we make an idea such as sin real for ourselves, we block healing. So I know that along the way, you have thought what we're saying right now, that there is no sin. Let me please just repeat, there is no sin, and you are not a sinner, no matter what you have been told. Now, you do not have to believe that. You are free, as you always are, to reject this course categorically. I certainly won't be offended if you do. It's your choice, and we're all adults here. That is the beauty of spirituality. It's an adult endeavor. It's for grown-ups, and for each and every one of us, it is about taking personal responsibility for our entire experience, thoughts, what we say, what we do, what we type on social media, all of it. The beauty of assuming this responsibility and taking it is we can choose peace. You can choose healing. How do you do that? That is through our inner teacher. A true healer, a therapist, does not heal. A therapist does not heal. He or she lets healing be. A healer lets healing be. In other words, the healer, the therapist, the reverend, whatever, you don't have to have a professional title at all. In order to heal, we simply let healing be. What do? We step aside and give our entire experience, everything, over to our inner teacher, the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit is the healer, the one healer, capital H, the one therapist, capital T. Our inner teacher is the healer. He knows what to do. That is why I often say in these videos that when something lands for you, when something connects and you have an aha moment or just an intuitive hit or a glimpse of something beyond this little deal right here, when that happens for you, it is your inner teacher speaking to you. What you see before you is not special in any way. It's a pixelated image on your screen. And this physical body that I appear to be touching right now and feel this thing called a finger on this thing called a cheek is not me. And it's not you. When something lands, it's the healer talking to you, our inner teacher. So, what's our job here? To relax and trust. All spirituality can be boiled down to this very simple concept of relaxing and trusting the guidance of our inner teacher. How can we be so sure that we'll be healed? How can we be so sure that this is going to work? Well, number one, it's not of this world. So, how often has doing the same thing over and over again helped you to have the peace of God? We're invited to trust a teacher who's not of this world, who knows that there is no world, that this is a dream, and who knows that we will awaken. How quickly we do that right here in the present moment is up to us as adult learners. The responsibility that we were talking about a moment ago, it comes into play right here. We have a choice in the present moment to listen to the ego or the Holy Spirit. The Holy Spirit is the healer. So we learn here on the path to relax and trust the guidance of our inner teacher, knowing that we will be told exactly what to do in any circumstance. Exactly what to do, exactly what to say, and to whom if we take what appears to be a physical journey someplace or a virtual journey online someplace in this world, we will be directed to do so. And we can do so with 100% confidence that what we say and do under the guidance of our inner teacher will benefit every living thing, past, present, future, throughout all space and time, to the maximum extent. We cannot say that when we act on our own, can we? All we do is get confused. And more often than not, we second guess ourselves. So we learn to relax and trust the guidance of our inner teacher. If this sounds scary, the ego is always afraid, and understand that if this isn't going down, that's absolutely fine. It's the ego that's afraid. So we're invited to do what we're able to do right now in the present moment, to set our own expectations, our own labels, our own judgments to the side, even if it's only for a split second, and trust the guidance of our inner teacher, who is the healer, the one therapist. Healing is done through us, but we're not doing it. Our ego little self with all our professional titles. And I mean, I've got those. No problem. You may have them too. But none of that is the healer. The healer is the Holy Spirit, part of our mind, the part of our mind that is known by many names. Even here in A Course in Miracles, one of those is the voice for God. So the Holy Spirit speaks to us about who and what we are. And it's our responsibility to listen. So if it seems scary to give over your entire experience, understand that you're not giving it over to an outside power, to an outside agent. You're not ceding anything. The Holy Spirit is part of your mind. That's why in this video series, the Holy Spirit is referred to as our inner teacher. Inner. So we do what our inner teacher says for us to do. We forgive the Son of God under his guidance. We do this again and again and again and again. That's a theme. And again and again and again under his guidance. What happens? Our experience proves to us that these teachings are true. We prove the truth of this course to ourselves. So if you want proof, you will prove it to yourself. And I know that you will do that. When? Well, that's not up to me, but it is up to you. So what about right now, today? How about that? I, as always, invite you to join me. All right. So along the way, there are bound to be questions. This is, after all, spirituality, which means it's a path of profound and deep self-inquiry. Yeah, we talk about deep stuff here. It's not surface level. This course delves right past the surface, saying there is no surface. How many traditions do that? Well, some do, but not all. So to the extent that you're called to study this particular tradition, this particular self-study course, questions are bound to arise. And when they do, you're more than welcome to ask here. I'm more than happy to discuss this course and spirituality in general with you. So if you have questions, please feel free to leave them. And your subscriptions are more than welcome. So thank you to all of you who have recently subscribed. There have been a number of you in the past few days. If you haven't joined us and you'd like to, the subscription button is right here in the corner of your screen. Go ahead and click on that and join us. These videos appear several times a week. And again, we're going through the text of A Course in Miracles, which is several hundred pages long and has 31 chapters. We're on chapter 9, which means there is much more to discuss. So in wrapping it up, thank you for joining me. And how about listening to your inner teacher today? Let's leave it with that.